Hello everyone, I'm Mary Ellen. I am the music therapist for Transitions Hospice, and this month we're celebrating moms. And when I think of motherhood, it includes things like nurturing a child, supporting them, being there to guide them, and yes, if you've given birth to a child, that certainly goes with the territory, but many people fulfill that role in children's lives. Special friends, foster parents, single dads, stepmoms, special aunts. And so if that's something that you've done for a child, we're celebrating you. We're also hoping that you've had someone like that in your life. And we're also remembering the moms that maybe aren't with us, but will forever be in our memories. So we're going to take a look back at motherhood and how it's changed through the years. Although I think that everyone would agree that being a mother last year probably had challenges that hadn't been seen before and we hope won't be seen again. Around the turn of the century, motherhood was sanctified. Mothers were put on unrealistic pedestals, and there were all sorts of treacly, sentimental songs that celebrated mothers. I'm going to spare you singing all of them. However, I'm going to give you just a little excerpt of one of these songs, and many of them had the theme that, well, if some man or woman disappoints me, my mom is going to be there for me. She was happy till she met you, and the fault is all your own. If she wishes to forget you, you will please leave her alone. She has come to her old mother, just because there is no other. She'll be happy in her own sweet home. There were also some concepts which we wouldn't think would be all that great today. In fact, if you call somebody a mama's boy, it's not necessarily a compliment. But check these out. Mother's boy, a boy's best friend is his mother. You still hear that saying. And I have a large sheet music collection, and sometimes I get copies of sheet music for songs that were not exactly major hits, but I find their quirkiness interesting anyway. Look at this one. Tie me to your apron strings again. Isn't that what we all would wish our children to do? Not. Then there's Mother is My Sweetheart. When all the world forgets you, there's a mother waiting still. That wonderful mother of mine. Come back, dear mother, oh mother of mine. And then this is a theme that comes up in a lot of these songs. They do have to emphasize, don't know why, the fact that mother is getting old. Darling, you are growing old. Silver threads among the gold. And the copy that I have says it's a Mother's Day solo. I don't know if that's something that I would have particularly wanted to hear on Mother's Day. But now this next one is a song that, while it is very old, I find that many people know it, and it was a hit, and it has, relatively speaking, stood the test of time. And that is M-O-T-H-E-R, Mother. And if you know this one, please sing along, or I say to people, if you know the tune, you can hum along. And if you're not up to any of that, just sing it in your heart if you feel like it, and enjoy it. M is for the million things she gave me. O means only that she's growing old. T is for the tears she shed to save me. H is for her heart of purest gold. E is for her eyes with love light shining. R is right and right she'll always be. Put them all together, they spell mother, a word that means the world to me. A lot of these songs, too, around the turn of the century, one of the ways that you had really made it as a homeowner was to have a piano in the parlor. So this would have been something that maybe you would have gotten your mother for Mother's Day. Would have been a copy of this song. And at this point, let's take a look starting at around 1900 and think about how concepts of child raising have changed. First of all, motherhood in the early 1900s, it was very aloof. People were told, crying is absolutely essential to the development of good, strong lungs. Minimize contact with your baby. Don't let the baby take over your life. There was even, don't kiss your child. Give him a kiss on the forehead if you feel like you need to. And then at night, kiss him goodnight. Or shake hands, maybe. If you had a lot of money, perhaps the child had a nanny, which meant that the parents barely saw them at all. And you might think, why would anybody want to do any of this? But if this is what the experts were telling people, then people were eager to follow along because infant mortality rates were very, very high. In fact, I didn't include them in the presentation, but there were a lot of songs about mothers that had to do with mothers losing their babies and wishing the child would come home at twilight, and really jolting kinds of things. And this next one, for anybody who's listening to this who happens to be from McHenry County, Egbert van Alstine was a very famous composer of the early 1900s. He wrote things like, I'm in love with you, pretty baby, and things, in the shade of the old apple tree. But the one that I've included here is So Long Mother, which is one that Al Jolson sung. It was a little bit too sprightly for the sentiment, and as you'll see a little later on, there are some commonalities in being a mother, some things that never change no matter how many years go by. And one of them is the pain of sending a child off to war. And in this particular instance, it was a son going off to fight in World War I and saying goodbye to his mother. So, and you'll see Al Jolson's picture there. Now, moving ahead to the 1920s, people think of the 20s as being the age of the flappers and everybody was having a good time. The reality was women worked very hard. They worked in the home primarily, but no microwaves, no conveniences of any kind. And so motherhood got to be pretty authoritarian. Some of these too have stood the test of time. Because I said so, that's why. My house, my rules. Do as I say, not as I do. As long as you're under my roof. Any of those sound familiar? Then in the 1930s, and I'll bet lots of you had this, Benjamin Spock. Everybody had a Benjamin Spock book that told you exactly what you were supposed to do, and happy day, you could finally hug your kid without feeling like you were doing the wrong thing. And there were lots of remedies. Here's just a couple things that just easily come to mind. Just us. This is from Mary Poppins, but the sentiment is remedies. Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. The medicine go down. The medicine go down. Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down in a most delightful way. And a lot of those spoonfuls back in the 30s, 40s, were things like, think of if you ever had any of these. Cod liver oil, and there were mercurochrome if you fell down, which really stung. And then another one that comes to my mind, and again, it's not so much the song, but what they refer. John Brown's baby had a cold upon his chest. John Brown's baby had a cold upon his chest. John Brown's baby had a cold upon his chest, and he rubbed it down with camphorated oil. Camphorated oil. And red flannel on the shirt, Vicks Vapor Rub. And remember the you'd have a vaporizer in a child's room, and it wasn't the ones that are cool now. It was one that was pretty hot. Sometimes you would put Vicks Vapor Rub or whatever in it. And remember the thermometers? They had mercury in them. And if somebody broke one, you'd see that mercury ball running along the floor. And doctors made house calls occasionally. Then along came the 40s. And women were no longer exclusively in the home, though many of them were. However, they were needed in the defense plants, and many of them went off to work, so that was a change. Rosie the Riveter was a symbol for working women during World War II, including moms. And here's a card that was sent on Mother's Day from a soldier. And as I mentioned before, the pain of sending son or daughter off, and nobody wanted to be a gold star mother. Then along came the 50s. The TV sitcoms, remember them? Leave It to Beaver. Life was just fun and mothers were perfect. And the message was, all right, thanks a lot for helping out during the war. Thanks a lot. Go home, be the perfect wife, and let your husband be the breadwinner again, which didn't sit well with some women, but the TV shows projected that image. The Donna Reed Show, Father Knows Best. Now I'd like to end this section talking about lullabies. I'm guessing that most of you have either sung lullabies to your kids, you've had lullabies sung to you, and I'd just like to point out that you're never too old for a lullaby. They have kind of a swaying motion like this. Think about a rocking chair. That's what it was probably like. And if you find yourself feeling anxious, think of a song that's got that kind of a beat and emotion to it, and breathe with it and see if it doesn't calm you down. And the songs that I've included are some that some of you have told me that you used to sing to your kids. The first one is a little bit perkier. I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck, and a hug around the neck, a hug around the neck, and a barrel and a heap, a barrel and a heap, and I'm talking in my sleep about you, about you. 'Cause I love you, a bushel and a peck, bet your pretty neck I do. A doodle-doodle-doo, doodle-doodle-doo, doodle-doodle-doo. I love you, a bushel and a peck, a bushel and a peck. Though you make my heart a wreck, you make my heart a wreck, and you make my life a mess. You make my life a mess, yes, a mess of happiness without you, about you. 'Cause I love you, a bushel and a peck, bet your pretty neck I do. A doodle-doodle-doo, doodle-doodle-doo, doodle-doodle-doo. I don't know if everybody sang the second verse about you make my life a mess, though that is true when you have kids. It's a challenge to try to keep things from not being a mess. I think you all know this one. We have the words, but I don't know that you'll need them. And even though the second verse to this is kind of sad, I think that the overall message is what makes people sing it to their kids. You are my sunshine, because that is the way that we think of our kids many times. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, next one fits that category that I was talking to you about something that can often go nice and slow. If you ever saw the movie Going My Way or listen to any Irish American songs, then I think that you will know Tura Lura Lura. Tura Lura Lura, Tura Lura Lai, Tura Lura Lura, hush now don't you cry, Tura Lura Lura, Tura Lura Lai, Tura Lura Lura, that's an Irish lullaby. And then finally, I don't know how many of you have what I like to call legacy songs like we have in my family. I discovered that the songs that my mom sang to me and I've sung to my kids were sung to her by her grandmother and were sung to my grandmother by her Aunt Jerry, who raised her after her mom died. And when I traced the songs back, they went all the way back to the 1870s, some of them. And my grandmother changed the words to many of them to suit the situation, or somebody along the line changed the words. This one is Annie Laurie, which in my family we sang as She's My Honey. And the only reason I'm including these is just to give you an idea that you can make up things. And what your child wants to hear, or your grandchild, and we have to trust and believe, and I hope we're well on the way, that you're going to be seeing your grandchildren more. But even if you're only talking to them through a tablet, they will want to hear the sound of your voice. And don't worry about whether you're ready for the Metropolitan Opera. That's not important. The sound of your voice is what's important. So this is one. She's my honey, she's my girl, change to boy if need be. She's my sweetheart, little tiny girl. Soon she'll grow up and go away to school, but now she's my honey, my little tiny girl. Notice that rhyme didn't matter, meter kinda, but what mattered was just she's my, like that. And this one we used to sing around the campfire too, but it was also a lullaby in my family. And I tried to find the origins, and it goes way back. It's shown as a traditional song, but it's, if you know this one, you can sing along. Oh, tell me why the ivy twines. Oh, tell me why the stars do shine. Oh, tell me why your eyes are blue. And I will tell you just why I love you. Because God made the ivy twine. Because God made the stars to shine. Because God made your eyes so blue. Because God made you, that's why I love you. I even found that one in a list of hymns. By the way, I was talking about changing words. It has always frustrated me. It's very obvious why there are so many songs written about people whose eyes are blue. It rhymes with I love you. If you got brown eyes, you got a few beautiful, beautiful brown eyes. But it was easy to change that one. Because God made your eyes so brown, you're the one that I'll carry through town, or whatever. At any rate, I hope that this has provided you with some enjoyable memories of being a mom, being a mother figure to someone, of your own mom. And once again, on behalf of Transitions Hospice, I'm Mary Ellen. I'm the music therapist, and we wish you all a very happy Mother's Day and a happy May.